It started with silence. Not the peaceful kind, but the kind that makes the back of your neck prickle. Malik Jordan noticed it the second he stepped out of the elevator onto the seventh floor of Vandam Technologies. Normally, the office buzzed by 9 a.m. Typing, chatter, phones ringing. But today, it was quiet. Too quiet. He walked past the rows of desks. Eyes followed him. Some looked quickly away. Others held his gaze for a second too long, like they knew something, like he had done something. At his desk, Malik tried to shake it off. He logged in, opened the encrypted project he'd been working on, a government contract firewall he had designed from scratch, and began typing. But his fingers froze when he noticed a shadow. He turned. "Allison Reeds," said the woman in a sharp suit. Human Resources Director. Expression unreadable. "Can you come with me?" Every head in the room lifted. A few whispers. Someone dropped their pen. Malik felt his throat tighten. "Yeah," he said, standing slowly. "Sure." As they walked toward the glass-walled conference room, he caught sight of Derek Caldwell. Senior dev, white, well-liked, smug. The guy who always laughed too loud at his own jokes. He was leaning by the kitchen, sipping coffee, watching Malik with something between pity and pleasure. Smiling. Inside the room, the door clicked shut. Malik sat. Across from him, Allison and Tom Hensley from legal. There was a red USB drive on the table and a manila folder, thick with printed sheets. "Malik," Allison began, voice even. "At 2:43 a.m. this morning, there was an unauthorized access attempt to the encrypted federal contract files. The breach was traced to your employee credentials." Malik blinked. "Excuse me?" Tom slid the folder across the table. Inside, server access logs, IP timestamps, and digital signatures. "That's not possible," Malik said. "I was at home, asleep." "There's more," Tom continued. He held up the red USB. "This was found in your desk drawer. It contains cloned fragments of the firewall code, encrypted, packaged, and ready for exfiltration." Malik stared at it. "That drive's not mine. I've never used it. I keep my personal backups at home." Allison gave a polite practiced nod. "We're not accusing you, Malik, but until the investigation concludes, we'll have to suspend you with pay. IT has disabled your access." Malik stood up slowly. Something inside him snapped, like glass cracking beneath pressure. "You're making a mistake," he said. "Someone planted that, and I know exactly who." Allison raised an eyebrow. "If that's true, bring us proof." "I will," he said, eyes cold now. "But when I come back, it won't just be HR I'm walking into." Back at his apartment, Malik slammed the door shut behind him. He didn't speak, didn't scream, just sat, fists clenched, eyes burning. They actually believed he'd sabotage his own code. He'd spent 4 months perfecting that firewall, running simulations, writing defensive algorithms line by line. His name was on that contract, his legacy, and now it was all being rewritten. By who? He already knew the answer. Derek. It always rubbed Derek the wrong way that Malik, the youngest engineer, and the only black man in the department, was leading the most sensitive contract. Malik had caught the looks, the sarcastic comments, the way Derek hovered behind him during meetings, asking questions he already knew the answers to. But this was next level. Malik plugged in his personal hard drive. Every line of code he'd ever written for Vandam was archived there, time-stamped, hashed, versioned. He started digging, pulling up the logs from last night's supposed breach. And then he saw it, a script buried deep in the call logs. It looked like his work. The syntax, the structure, it mimicked his style almost perfectly. Almost. But one function, ping bypass firewall, was misnamed. Malik never named functions that way. Too clumsy, too obvious. He cross-referenced the function signature with known hashes. It matched a private GitHub project belonging to Derek Caldwell. Malik leaned back, jaw clenched. "Got you." 2 days later, he returns. The receptionist at Vandam looked stunned when Malik walked through the front doors. "I need to speak with Martin Brennan," Malik said calmly. "The CEO. He's in a meeting. He'll want to hear what I have, now." 30 minutes later, Malik sat across from Brennan in his corner office. Floor-to-ceiling windows, shelves lined with awards. The man himself, silver-haired, stone-faced. "You asked for this meeting," Brennan said. "I'm listening." Malik dropped a folder on the desk. "That's proof Derek Caldwell framed me. I've traced the malicious script used in the breach to a function hash that matches a GitHub repository he personally maintains. He used a clone tool, an admin mirror module, installed on the server 3 weeks ago. I tracked the install to his machine." Brennan said nothing. He opened the folder, flipping through pages, diagrams, logs, screenshot captures, timestamps, code comparisons. "You did all this on your own?" he asked. "Yes," Malik said, "because no one else was going to, and because I know how this works. I'm the easy scapegoat. Young, black, isolated. He knew no one would question it." Brennan looked up. His face had changed. More alert now. Sharper. "Where is the original USB?" "In police custody, if you want them looped in." There was a long pause. "Wait here," Brennan said. "Do not move." Showdown 15 minutes later, Brennan returned with security, IT, and 2 officers from Cybercrimes. And Derek. Derek walked in, confused, then irritated when he saw Malik. "What's he doing here?" "I could ask you the same, sir," Malik replied. "Mr. Caldwell," Brennan said, "do you recognize this function call?" He pointed at the screen behind his desk. Derek blinked. It was the cloned script, highlighted and enlarged. "Never seen it. It matches a project you posted under your alias Clyde Dev in 2021. Derek laughed too quickly. "What, now we're mining my GitHub? This is ridiculous." "Your device installed a root-level tool on the server 3 weeks ago," said the lead IT analyst. "The timestamp places the upload during your system diagnostic check. You even requested admin rights that morning." "That doesn't prove anything." The officer stepped forward. "Sir, we're going to need you to come with us for questioning." "You're kidding," Derek snapped. "You're taking his word over mine?" "No," Brennan said. "We're taking evidence over arrogance." Derek's jaw clenched, but the handcuffs snapped shut all the same. As they led him out of the room, Malik didn't gloat, didn't smile. He just exhaled for the first time in days and whispered, "Checkmate." Malik returned to the office the next day, not as the accused, but as the man who exposed a traitor. Yet something in the air felt off, not celebratory, not relieved, but tense. Eyes still followed him, but now with unease, like people were afraid of what else he might uncover. The respect was there, yes, but it came laced with fear, and Malik felt it too. Not fear of people, but of what he might find next. Because despite Derek Caldwell being hauled out in handcuffs, Malik couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't over. If anything, it had just begun. That night, as Malik sat in his apartment, reviewing the evidence over and over, his phone rang, an unknown number. He hesitated for a second before answering. "Hello?" A deep voice responded, calm and official. "Mr. Malik Jordan? This is Special Agent Rainey with the Cybercrime Division. We've been brought in to analyze the breach from Vandem Technologies." Malik's grip tightened on the phone. "Yes, I'm familiar with the case." Rainey continued. "Your findings on Caldwell were instrumental, but we found something troubling, something that suggests Caldwell wasn't acting alone." Malik's heart skipped. "Go on." "There's a tool embedded in the breach script. It's subtle, hidden deep inside, but it's not Caldwell's work. Too refined, too dangerous. The tool is called Ghostlayer 32. Malik sat upright. That name. He'd only heard whispers about it. It wasn't public. It was a ghost. An elite-level exploit framework rumored to be built by black hat contractors and war-tested in foreign digital ops. Ghostlayer 32 isn't something you just download off the dark web, Malik said quietly. Exactly, Rainey replied. It requires authorization, access, resources, which means whoever embedded it had more than technical skills. They had clearance, and we traced its presence in Vandem's systems back 6 weeks, before Caldwell even had access. That changed everything. The next morning, Malik skipped his desk and went straight home. He pulled out an old backup, one he'd cloned from Van Dem's internal servers months ago during firewall testing. If the breach started 6 weeks ago, it had to leave a footprint. And after 5 hours of combing through commit logs and system metadata, he found it. A single line buried in an anonymous admin push. It looked harmless, just a minor adjustment to server protocols. But Malik knew better. Hidden inside was a passive packet listener, something that sat dormant until it was triggered by a specific set of external conditions. The signature hash attached to the code was partially obfuscated, but there was a key fragment at the end, B74X-92. He froze. B74X-92. Where had he seen that? Then he remembered. Caleb Strickland, head of systems infrastructure. They'd worked together for a brief time during deployment testing. Malik pulled up his old Slack history, scanned through dozens of conversations, and there it was, in Caleb's email footer. Device ID, B74X-92. It was him. Caldwell wasn't the real threat. He was the smokescreen. That afternoon, Malik returned to the CEO's office. Brennan looked tired, shaken, but when Malik laid out the evidence, his expression shifted from disbelief to dread. "You're accusing Caleb now?" he asked slowly. "I'm not accusing," Malik said. "I'm exposing. The exploit was embedded by someone with deep server access and elite-level knowledge. The code traces back to a device registered to Caleb. And the Ghost Layer 32 injection? That's not amateur stuff. It's insider level." Brennan rubbed his temples. "If you're right, this is national-level espionage." "I know," Malik said, "and there's more. I think the back door is still active." That night, Malik called in a favor. Ethan Zhao, his old college roommate, was now working in high-level digital forensics. Malik explained everything in one breath. Within hours, Ethan was at his apartment, sitting beside him, running packet scans through Malik's sandboxed server. They mirrored Van Dem's environment, setting traps for the exploit to bite. And at 2:14 a.m., it bit. The exploit activated. It sent out a transmission, fully cloaked, to an IP address registered in the Cayman Islands, an offshore shell corporation known for laundering stolen data. Ethan captured every byte. They traced the origin. The transmission came from a workstation assigned directly to Caleb Strickland. "This isn't just corporate sabotage," Ethan said grimly. "This is a breach attempt against federal systems, and your firewall's just the entry point." By morning, Malik stood once again in Brennan's office, this time with Agent Rainey patched in via video, Ethan on speakerphone, and a hard drive full of undeniable proof. Brennan's hands trembled slightly as he reviewed the packet logs, the IP traces, the system timestamps. "We trusted him," he muttered. 12 years at this company. "He used that trust," Malik said, "and if we don't move fast, he'll wipe his tracks completely." As if on cue, security burst into the office. "Sir, Caleb just accessed his terminal. He's trying to format his drive." "Stop him," Brennan barked. "Now!" Within minutes, Caleb was detained. His face wasn't surprised when they found him. If anything, it was resigned, like he knew this day might come. Later that day, Agent Rainey confirmed the worst. Caleb had been leaking vulnerabilities to foreign clients for months. Derek had been a useful puppet, someone to use and discard. Malik had been the ideal fall guy. Isolated, ambitious, distrusted just enough to make him easy to frame. "You exposed a network we've been chasing for over a year," Rainey told Malik, "and it was right under our nose, inside Van Dem." But even as the truth came out, Malik felt uneasy. That night, as he stepped into his apartment, something caught his eye. An envelope slipped under his door. No return address. Inside, a single sheet of paper, typed, clean, cold. "You weren't targeted because you were weak. You were targeted because you were smart. And smart people make great scapegoats. Keep watching your back." V. Malik read the note 3 times. His hands trembled, but not from fear, from certainty. This wasn't over. The note stayed in Malik's hand for almost an hour. He read it once, then again, then again. Every word etched deeper into his chest like a warning he wasn't supposed to survive. You weren't targeted because you were weak. You were targeted because you were smart. And smart people make great scapegoats. Keep watching your back. He didn't recognize the font. No fingerprints, no smudges. Whoever left it didn't just know where he lived. They'd been close enough to slip something under his door without making a sound. That was no prank. It was a message. A quiet tap on the shoulder from something far bigger than Derek, far bigger than Caleb. And Malik knew. If they were still watching, he wasn't done. Not yet. The next morning, Vandem Technologies was silent. No buzz, no chatter, just tension. HR had called an emergency town hall meeting. The CEO, Martin Brennan, stood before the staff like a man trying to look calm in front of a fire. He confirmed that Caleb Strickland had been arrested and Derek Caldwell's case had been turned over to federal authorities. There were apologies, promises of transparency, but Malik didn't listen. He was watching people. Every flick of the eyes, every hand that fidgeted, every coworker who didn't look at him. And that's when he saw her. Back row, black coat, head slightly lowered. She wasn't part of engineering, not from HR. He'd never seen her before. But she was watching him. Their eyes met for a half-second. No reaction. She just stood, turned, and walked out the side exit before the meeting even ended. Something was wrong. Malik didn't hesitate. He slipped out and followed her. Through the stairwell, down 2 flights into the sub-level parking garage. But when he turned the corner, she was gone. Only a black sedan pulling away. No license plate. He called Agent Rainey that night. Someone left a note at my apartment, signed only as V. Describe it. Malik did, word for word. Silence stretched on the other end of the line. Then Rainey said, "There's a theory we've been working on. A network inside major corporations. Deep assets planted to manipulate, sabotage, redirect contracts. Corporate espionage on the surface. But beneath it, control. They use threats, bribes, and setups. When we catch someone, there's always another." Like Caleb, Malik said. Exactly. But here's the part we've never proved. We believe there's someone or some group behind it all. Watching, coordinating, leaving notes just like that one. And the signature, V, it's popped up in 3 other investigations. So it's real, Malik said. The Watchers. Rainey's voice dropped. We call them that too, internally, but no one's ever gotten close. Malik stared at the note again. I think I just did. Over the next 3 days, Malik barely slept. He searched every log file he could still access from his archive server copies. But this time, he wasn't looking for data breaches. He was looking for patterns, movement, timings, behavioral anomalies. He found something buried in the network activity logs from a month before the breach, a device that accessed Caleb's machine regularly, around 3 a.m., always at the same time. Same data size, same temporary access path. Only it wasn't a Vandem device. It was a ghost, unregistered. Its MAC address masked, spoofed to appear as generic hardware. But Malik knew how to read the silence. The device had mimicked routine IT operations to slip in and out, unnoticed. And the only machine at Vandem capable of spoofing signatures like that belonged not to Caleb, not to Derek, but to someone in executive systems. He traced the signal back to a proxy path. It routed to an encrypted archive, buried under admin-only clearance. He cracked it. Inside, he found an export schedule. Not for code, but for personnel records, performance reviews, psychological profiles, personal data of key employees, including himself. It wasn't about technology. It was about people, recruitment. He took the file straight to Brennan, slammed it on his desk. You said transparency, Malik snapped. Then tell me why your company had a psychological file on me going back 2 years before I was hired. Brennan froze. Color drained from his face. I want the truth, Malik said. Right now. The CEO sat down slowly, like the weight of it all had just caught up. You were identified, as he said, before we ever interviewed you, as a high-value intelligence asset. Your resume wasn't just good, it was perfect. Too perfect. Vandem, we don't recruit only for talent. We provide access. Some of our hires are quietly recommended by outside parties. Malik stared at him. You mean government? Brennan didn't answer. Instead, he leaned in. They wanted to see how you'd react under pressure, if you'd resist being scapegoated, if you'd fight, if you'd expose corruption. They were watching you from day one. Malik stood. He felt cold, betrayed, used. You let me get framed, fired, targeted. You passed, Brennan said. I didn't sign up for a test, Malik said. I signed up to build something that mattered. Brennan's voice softened. You still can. That night, Malik returned home to find a second note waiting. No envelope, just folded, tucked into his mailbox. This one was shorter. Good, you saw it. You didn't flinch. The others did. You're not done yet. He stared at the paper. There was no anger in him now, only understanding. He was never supposed to survive this. Never supposed to make it past the false accusations. Never supposed to dig that deep. But he had. And someone out there knew that meant he was ready for more. Epilogue, 6 months later, Malik stood in front of a different building. Not Van Dem, not a tech startup, a secure compound in Northern Virginia. No name on the door, no logo, just a silent scanner. He placed his hand on the pad. A voice spoke. Welcome back, Mr. Jordan. He walked in without hesitation, because some people run from the shadows, and others walk straight into them.